What up? If you're watching this, just know I appreciate you. If you woke up today, that's enough reason to smile. Never forget that life's an adventure. Life's what you make it. So live it to the fullest each and every day. Now, I need to talk about one of my absolute favorite Christmas movies because it is the Christmas season. And when we're talking about Christmas classics, of course, I love all of the OGs, okay? The Miracle on 34th Street, the It's a Wonderful Life, these types of movies. But there's a movie that came out really recently that I think is up there with the elite of Christmas movie classics, and that is 2023 The Holdovers. And this movie is an instant classic. As soon as I watched it, I knew this would be a movie that I would watch every single year for the rest of my life because it so perfectly captures and encapsulates the Christmas spirit, what it means to celebrate the Christmas season. It's not about the gifts. It's not about the commercial aspects. It's about togetherness. It's about gratitude. It's about appreciating what you have. It's about trying to make the most, even though it's never perfect. Christmas is never, ever going to be perfect. Nothing in life is ever going to be perfect, but it's about what you make out of it, how you choose to celebrate it and overlook the things that aren't perfect about it, but to just stare right at the things that do make it wonderful. Being with people that you care about. And in this movie in particular, what I love about it is it takes a motley crew of characters and it makes them come together under the Christmas spirit and they walk away as lifelong bonded family. They will always have a bond because of what they endured through these 2 to 3 weeks of being together. Now, what this movie's about is it's a boys' preparatory school in New England. It's for wealthier kids, kids whose parents can afford to put them in this prep school, Barton. And every single Christmas season, there's a couple students and faculty that have to stay because they don't have anywhere to go. The faculty, they get paid to stay with these students who don't have anywhere to go, but a lot of these kids, their families live in different countries. Maybe their families just can't pick them up. And this particular season, there are 5 kids who are holding over. But the one kid, his dad's a CEO, he is going on a skiing trip, and he takes the 3 other boys, so it's just Dominic Sessa's character, Angus Tully, alone with the cook, Davine Randolph-Joy's character, Mary Lamb, and Paul Hunnam, Paul Giamatti's character, a history professor who is a bit of a curmudgeon. People don't really love this guy. But in classic Ebenezer Scrooge fashion, by the end of the movie, he becomes somebody who softens up. And that's why we love Christmas season, because it can make the hardest of hearts turn soft. The Grinch, another example. The Grinch and Ebenezer Scrooge are Christmas icons because they went from being very tough characters to being very soft, loving characters. And we love Christmas because of this. It brings out the best in us. And that is what this movie really highlights and showcases is you can be going through a lot. We see it with Davine Randolph-Joy's character, Mary Lamb. Her son died in Vietnam, and this is the first Christmas that she's celebrating without him. And you see how hard it is when you lose family, especially as a grieving mother. It is so hard to celebrate the holidays because it's a reminder. It's a constant reminder of the times where you had that person, whether it's a father or mother or grandfather or grandmother. When you lose somebody and the holidays roll around, it's tough. It's tough because you remember the good times with them. But when you lean on people who care, like she does in this movie, it gets you through and it makes you realize, life goes on. It's not perfect, but life goes on. And I think that's what I love the most about this movie. It is the perfect, heartwarming little pill of life goes on. And things can go wrong, but you keep going. And that's what defines us as humans. And that's why the Christmas season is so beautiful, because it brings the best out of us and it reminds us no matter what we're going through, things will get better. And you focus on the good. It drowns out the bad, and you keep moving forward. So with Mary Lamb, Mary had a little lamb, we focus on her struggles with losing her son. And then with Dominic Sessa's character, he was supposed to go to St. Kitts with his mother and her new husband, and they don't want to pick him up because the mother wants to go on a honeymoon with her husband, because we learn that she has dealt with some hardships. Her ex-husband, Angus Tully's father, is severely mentally ill. And obviously that's hard for someone to deal with, especially a young man like Angus Tully. Young men need their fathers. They need father figures. And I think that's another thing that this movie really shines at. It highlights how important it is to have a positive role model in your life, especially you need a positive male role model in your life that really teaches you lessons and instills the right values in you and makes you feel like you're worthy. So you don't need to act out and you don't need to do things lashing out for attention because you're getting it. And we see Paul Giamatti's character, Paul Hunnam, fill that void for Angus. He becomes that father figure that Angus really needs in these tough, trying moments. I mean, he's a 17-year-old kid spending Christmas alone. That must feel horrible to have your mother put her own necessities above yours. And Paul Hunnam is a guy who is kind of a failure in his own regard. He went to Harvard, he got kicked out, not his own fault, but he's been dealing with the repercussions of that for the last 40 years or so. He seems to be probably in his 50s or 60s, and yeah, he's been dealing with a lot. And we see it when he runs into a former colleague at Harvard. He is ashamed of what his life's become. And all three of these characters are dealing with different hardships, but because they're thrown into a setting where they need to come together, they all become a little motley crew of a family, and they walk away from these 2 to 3 weeks of isolation together better people. And that is what is so magical about Christmas. Three characters that really have not much in common on the surface. They come together, they realize they have so much in common. Just like, I think that is a beautiful thing about this movie that we need to remember. You can think that you're so different than somebody, but if you just spent a couple weeks with them, you'd realize how similar you really are. As humans, we all have very, very similar needs. We all want the same things. We all want to be loved. We all want to be appreciated. We all want to feel like we're worthy. We have worth. We all want to feel like we're successful. We all want to feel like we're appreciated. I mean, these are all things that we as humans basically need. On a basic level, this is what we need. And that is what this movie really shines at too, is how similar we all are as people. All three of these characters come from very different walks of life, but they're all so similar. And it's so heartwarming what you watch on screen unfold in the 2 hours of this runtime. It is just perfection. Absolute brilliant perfection. There's a little motif that runs throughout it about lying. We see it when Angus Tully dislocates his arm, has to go to the hospital. He doesn't want Paul Hunnam to get in trouble, so he lies. And Paul Hunnam says, Barton boys don't lie. But then we see it later when Paul Hunnam runs into his former colleague at Harvard and doesn't want to feel embarrassed, so he lies to him. And Angus supports that lie. And then Angus tells him, I thought Barton boys don't lie. And then it all comes full circle in the climactic ending when Angus is potentially going to get expelled because he visited his father and his father's very mentally ill. He wasn't supposed to do anything extracurricular in these couple weeks. He was only supposed to do scholastic things, and it was Paul Hunnam's responsibility to watch him, but Paul takes the full responsibility, accountability of what Angus did, gets fired. But what's beautiful and perfect about this ending, what I love so much about this ending, and why it's written so brilliantly, is because Paul needs to move on. He needs to move on. He's been dreaming of visiting Carthage, all these places that he's read about his whole life and educates about. He's been dreaming about going there, and he finally has the ability to go because he's fired. He's absolved and relieved of his responsibilities at Barton, and he's grown out of Barton. He went to school there, and then he went to teach there because of failures at Harvard, which weren't even his fault. It was a bureaucrat's son lying about he copied Paul's paper, and then he said that Paul copied his paper, so Paul got expelled because the bureaucrat's son was very influent with his prestige, who he was, the family he comes from. And that's another thing that this movie does so brilliantly is it really showcases that we need more people in society that don't look at where you come from. It doesn't matter where you come from. You should not get special treatment. All that matters is what you can do. And in Paul's classroom, that's the only thing that matters to him. Results are king in Paul Hunnam's classroom, and we need that in society so badly. Because in a time where we talk about just giving things to people because of where they're from or who their family is or what their background is, you're only doing them a disservice, and in turn our society a disservice, because people that really are working their butts off to earn that, they're having opportunities taken away from them. And not only that, but when people who aren't working as hard are given opportunities, you're bringing the overall quality of our society down. You need to keep the bar high, and Paul Hunnam's character in this movie is that. He keeps the bar high. He doesn't care what your last name is. He doesn't care how rich your father is. He doesn't care about any of that. He cares about what can you do in the classroom? How hard are you working? And that's another thing I love about this movie, because we need that so badly in our society. It's not about where you're from or who your family is. It's about what can you do? What can you bring to the table? Purely content of character. No other ulterior influences on opportunity. And that is one thing I really love about this movie. I just love everything about this movie. There's so many scenes throughout it that will make you gush. I mean, from heartwarming scenes that bring tears to your eyes to heartbreaking scenes that brings tears to your eyes. There's so much that this movie offers, and I just can't say enough good things about it. Because what I love about movies like this is there's no world-ending stakes. There's no, oh, Santa Claus is going to die, or if we don't do this, Christmas forever is going to be over. Like, there's nothing like that. It's just a very self-contained small story about what it means to celebrate Christmas and what it means to be human. And I think that's what's so beautiful about this movie is it celebrates the humanity of Christmas, what it means to celebrate this season. It's not about the gifts. It's not about any of that. It's about the moments. It's about togetherness. It's about gratitude, and it's about just realizing that, you know what, things are never going to be perfect, but the fact that they're not perfect makes them perfect. Something else that I really love about this movie is in A Christmas Carol, probably the most famous Christmas story of all time, there's the ghosts of past, the ghosts of present, and then the ghosts of future. All three of these ghosts come and visit Ebenezer Scrooge and make him realize that he needs to change his ways and the impact that his actions have. And I think there's something brilliant that Alexander Payne did with this movie where the three characters involved are iterations of these ghosts. We have Mary Lamb, who is the ghost of Christmas past. She can't let go of the fact that her son is gone. And that's completely understandable. When you lose a young son, when you parents should never bury their child, especially from something like war. I mean, especially Vietnam, which was such a pointless war. She has to bury her son just because she couldn't afford to get him out of getting drafted. She has to celebrate holidays without her baby boy now. And she is the ghost of Christmas past. She has to learn to overcome the past. And then we have the ghost of Christmas present, which is Angus Tully's character. He's presently dealing with a crossroad. Does he go to military school? Because if he flunks out of Barton, he has to go to military school. He's celebrating Christmas alone. I mean, this is a pivotal moment in a young man's life where it could really deviate him in a bad direction if he doesn't have the proper guidance. And then we have the ghost of Christmas future, which is Paul Hunnam. He is a guy that he's looking towards the future. He has nowhere to really go now. He is not a member of the Barton faculty any longer, and now he is free. He has the ability to go visit all of these places he always dreamed about, to write the book he always dreamed about writing. And you could say that there's a little bit of crossover with all of these characters and the ghosts of present, past, future, because present, past, future are all so closely related. But I just thought it was a really clever thing that I think Alexander Payne was doing in this movie. And it's just a brilliantly written movie, brilliantly acted, brilliantly filmed. I love what they did visually with this movie. They took the digital shots and they turned them into a grainy 70s looking film, a 35 millimeter looking film. And it adds this warmth to the movie that makes it feel like an instant classic. On top of it being an instant classic, it just has the aesthetic as well. You can put it right next to A Christmas Story or Miracle on 34th Street or It's a Wonderful Life or any of these classics. It has that feeling to it, and I think the story is incredible. So if you're looking for a great Christmas movie to watch this season, you should watch The Holdovers. If you love movies, you should watch The Holdovers. If you're just bored, you should watch The Holdovers. It is incredible, and yeah, it is the perfect movie to appreciate what you have in your life and realize that even though Christmas is never going to be perfect, life's never going to be perfect, it's about what you make it. It's about appreciating the people around you. It's about leaning onto people and being vulnerable and trying to understand the people around you. And it's just a wonderful examination of what it means to be human. And yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say about The Holdovers. You need to watch it if you haven't seen it. If you love movies, subscribe to my channel. I appreciate you. This means more to me than anything. I'm trying to grow the channel, and I love movies. I love talking about movies, and with your support, I appreciate it so much, and I hope you enjoyed the video. And that's all I have for you. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and see you soon.